Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning on a lovely Sunday morning. Super high humidity. Nice and toasty outside. We are well on our way to summer here in Houston. Houston, America. Got my coffee. Got my sketchbook, got my random object. I am recording. Let's kick this big. So how's everybody doing today? I ended up yesterday watching about 3.5, almost 4 hours of documentaries about mountain lions. I had a pretty good day yesterday. That's my kind of excitement. There's some things they said that I don't know that I agree with, and there's some things they said that I'm not sure make actual sense. Can you not hear the music? I can hear the music. Maybe I have the music turned down too low. I don't want the music to overwhelm. It's not a show about music. I'm not sure what. I mean, it's kind of like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing. We just come in here and draw. Hi, Ivy. Good morning. Did you get to go kayaking yet? Ivy posted that she just got her annual kayaking license. She has colored pencil coloring books that she made, that she colors in them. Beautiful little sunflowers. And I saw your post that says you got your license to go kayaking. Maybe you'll get to go soon. Hey, Claudia. We had a full crowd tonight, this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. Wherever you are in the world. It's wicked morning early here. It's 5:30 in the morning. I chose this time because I'm usually up just waiting to go to work Monday through Friday. But then I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and do it on Saturdays and Sundays too? Because I'm usually up anyway. And the thing about it is, it makes it really hard to skip a day, and that was kind of what was important to me. Was I wanted to make sure that I couldn't skip a day, because you skip one day and then the next thing you know it's been 7 years. And so one day when I was like really tired, I thought, well, I just won't do it today. And I thought, well, how do I tell the people that are waiting for me that I'm not going to be there today? And I realized that there's no way to tell the people that are waiting for me that I'm not going to be there today. And so I thought, well, I'll just go downstairs and tell them that I won't be here today. You know, once you're downstairs, how are you going to tell them you're not going to be? How are you going to be there and tell them you're not going to be there? So you might as well just do it. And so what that has done for me is it has made it where we've gone almost 2 months now. Oh, Ivy said the weather dropped back down into the 60s. She hasn't gone kayaking yet. I saw that your van was having some problems, but she's also saying that the weather dropped back down to the 60s, and so it's too cold to go kayaking. You know, my parents had a pool when I was a kid, and my dad would open the pool in late April, May, just for me, because I was the only one in the family that would get in the pool at that time of year. And he would keep the pool open until like October. Again, me being the only one that would get in the pool at that time of year. And now I'm in Houston. That was in Oklahoma. And now I don't even think about getting in the water until July. And even then I think the water's cold. And I may not actually go swimming until August. But I'm not. It's not the kind of thing I do anymore. That bottom jaw is tricky. Not real sure what's going on with that bottom jaw. I think that's closer. Yeah, I'm gonna live with that. We used to have mountain lions when we lived in Oklahoma. We used to have mountain lions that would come up and eat our dog food. And the dogs would bark sometimes, but for the most part they just left the lions alone. Mountain lions are all over western United States. They're called pumas in South America, or cougars. They're called mostly in North America. They're called either mountain lions or cougars. Not to be confused with the middle-aged women that try to seduce young men. It's not the kind of cougar we're talking about. At my age, they don't call them cougars, they call them deaf leopards. But hang on a second. Ivy says, and hey, You also have a self-professed morning hater waking up and going, hey, he's going to be on. Oh, hey, Ivy. Yeah, Ivy's a self-professed morning hater, and she showed up for the show. That's fantastic. Anyway, we used to have cougars that would come up, mountain lions that would come up and eat the dog food. And the dogs would just, you know, sometimes they would bark, but for the most part they would just leave them alone because they didn't stand a chance against the cougars. A whole pack of wolves can take down a mountain lion, but domestic dogs and a single wolf or two don't stand a chance against a mountain lion. They're pretty big. They're about the size of, I don't know, they're about the size of a, they can be anywhere from the size of a lab to a Great Dane. If you've ever seen a lab or a Great Dane. They're really big cats. And until you see one in walking down your driveway, you don't really think about how big they are. I mean, you can see them in the zoo and you can think, oh yeah, that's a big cat. But when you see one walking down your driveway, I mean, it really drives the point home of why the ranchers were scared of them, why the dogs might get nervous. It just really drives the whole thing home when you see how big they actually are. I think we got a pretty good capture there. Let's go through and clean up some of those lines. I'm still not real happy with that jaw though. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe once we get the form shading in, maybe that'll make more sense. Or maybe I'm just giving it too much volume of its own. Or maybe I've got the nose too pointy out there. I don't know. Let's clean up the stray lines. Let's see what happens. But mountain lions, we used to have, the United States, North America used to have giant lions. Used to have actual lions that were really big back during the Ice Age. They found remnants of them. And we had saber-toothed cats, which were not really cats, but they're related. And we had pumas at the same time, all at the same time. And the pumas are the only ones that are left. The mountain lions, out of all of those that came across the Bering Strait, the mountain lions are the only ones left, and they go all up and down the Americas. But the interesting thing is, the North American mountain lions completely died out, and a population of the South American mountain lions came back up and repopulated them. They are most closely related to cheetahs in the old world. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because I would have thought they were more closely related to jaguars, and they are not. I'm sorry, not jaguars, leopards. I thought they would have been more closely related to leopards. They are closely related to jaguars. Jaguars are bigger. And they thought these cats were all nocturnal and solitary, because that's all they had ever seen them do, was come out at night and be alone. You know, they never saw them as a group. But it turns out that was a function of there being no food. They were coming out at night to deal with the fact that there was no food, and they had to find time to compete. So they weren't competing directly with the jaguars, which are bigger cats. They didn't want to compete directly with the wolves because the wolf packs could kill the cougars. But once they found food in abundance, they started behaving more like lions, with prides and sharing kills. And I thought that was very interesting. My mom's in the chat room telling about how the mountain lion would just saunter down our driveway. I mean, the thing would just like you see in the Pink Panther, it would just slink along. Just exactly like what you'd see in the Pink Panther. The way that the Pink Panther cartoon would just, with his little tail bobbing back and forth as he just seemingly carelessly struts along. So back to the relationship to cheetahs. The thinking is that these things came over to North America as ocelots and lynxes, and became really popular over here, and then started going back across the strait back into Asia, Russia and Asia, and then down back into Africa. Spreading the genome back and forth across the two continents, back across the several continents. And I think that's interesting because you don't usually think about genes going the other way. Kind of like the fact that they know that the North American cougars died off, and were replaced by South American cougars, that they can actually test genetically. And again, I just think that's terribly interesting. Because it's when a species gets isolated that they start making changes that you don't see anywhere else in the world. Like the indigenous peoples of South America, the differences, the genetic differences that you see in them versus the genetic differences that you see in the people of Africa versus Europe, you know, those changes only come in isolation. And then when you start mixing them back together, those changes spread throughout the populations. All right, I'm gonna check. How are we doing on time? Oh my goodness, it's already 5:51. We're not on a hard time limit today like normal. On the weekdays, you know, we have a hard time limit, but and I kind of touched on this yesterday. It's important to maintain that 30-minute discipline for the psychological benefit of knowing that it's only 30 minutes or whatever, however much time you have for it. You know, I've only got 10 minutes to sketch, so sketch for 10 minutes. Don't use the fact that you only have 10 minutes. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you from doing it because, well, I don't have enough time to get a whole drawing done, so I'm just not going to do it at all. I don't have enough time to finish this, so I'm just not going to do it. Don't let that stop you. That's the reason for the hard 30-minute time limit. All right, let's start. We gotta start cleaning this up. Otherwise, I'm gonna start shading things that don't exist. Hold my pencil way back here so that I can keep it kind of loose. I don't want sketchy lines. I want bold, straight lines. But I don't want hard lines that will be hard to blend. Actually, this is why composition is so important. If you can't tell, I've about run off the page here with the tail. If I had moved this over a ½ inch, I wouldn't have this problem on this side. But I was focused on centering that cat on the page, and now I've run out of room for the tail. That's one of the reasons why composition is so important. We're not so far off that it's not manageable, but it will be an obvious problem. So problem is on this I've got too many lights. This light is bouncing off of me and hitting, going up in here. Just call him Tippy. Don't say only. But I've got some bounce light coming back off of here, and I've got an extra amount of reflected light in the shadow, and I want to make sure that I don't worry too much about that. I just want to make sure that I get the contact shadows nice and dark. But then because she's standing up a ways off the paper, she has a lot of reflective light in her shadow. And like the front of his foot is darker than the shadow. And you have to include that stuff when you're doing your shading, where it will lose its shape. It'll just look flat. I spent 3 hours. Did I tell you that I spent 3 hours learning about mountain lions yesterday? Mountain lions, cougars, and pumas. And this morning all I can think to talk about is the one that would just walk up and down our driveway. But I think we're there. The only thing left here is the fact that the cat is not white. So we're going to lift him off the page by making him not white, making her not white. Mountain lions are sexually dimorphic. There are major differences in size and strength between the males and females. But until you see the two of them together, it would be difficult to say whether one was one or the other. Look at Ivy go. She says in the half hour she's been here, she's already got a page ready to color. And she's awake. Alright, I lost some of the highlight in that leg. I'm a terrible influence, she says. And this shadow needs to be more defined, because this is the shadow of that head. Can't talk, arting. Alright, I'm calling it. I'm calling it, he says, as he adds more value to the paper. Alright, what is today? The 18th of May. So let's see what we have here. Claudia says she folds one whole basket. Have I been on this screen the whole time? Has the camera not changed? Has you been watching over my shoulder the whole time? Oh my goodness. So you didn't see any of this. Ah. My goodness. I know. Oh shoot, you didn't see this. You didn't get to see any of the rest of the scene set up. All you saw was over my shoulder. Like this. Oh well. Let's see if I can get you from the same angle I had. That's pretty close. This one. It won't focus. Why won't it? I wonder why it never focuses. What do I have to do to make it focus? It's important to see that from my angle it's a little different than what the actual picture was. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. You know I look forward to this every day. We do this every morning at 5:30 here out of Houston, America, so it's 5:30 Texas time. And I say it that way because I don't want anybody to wake up one morning in October, November and say, oh, 5:30, and it actually be 4:30 here because of daylight savings times going back and forth. Just look up whatever 5:30 Texas time is and come join us. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure and tune in tomorrow. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And then we dance. We dance until somebody says they see me dancing. That way I know the lag has caught up and it won't cut me off.